It's just a hole.
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Welcome to Sam's Garage. Today we're upgrading a classic Bandit Trans Am suspension before the engine swap. Then dropping a roaring 454 big block into a high mileage Chevy truck, including custom motor mounts and transmission work. And then premium maintenance on a rare 2015 Camaro Z28. The Bandit's heart is out, but we're muscling up the chassis first. Summit Racing's tubular control arms, beefy rear sway bar, and drop leaf springs are going in. We're turning labor pains into handling gains and giving this Trans Am a serious stance.
So this week we're going to do things a little bit different. We got the engine out of the car last week, and because the engine's out of the car, we're also waiting for some parts. But it's very easy to get to the upper control arms. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade the front suspension, and in that way, when I put the engine in, I don't have to fight myself doing the suspension.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing Summit Racing upper tubular control arms, lower tubular control arms, and then an upgraded sway bar kit. All right? We're going to start with taking off the wheels.
Okay.
All right, so we've got the Summit Racing upper control arm installed. We've got the sway bar end links and bushings out of our way. Now this thing does have QA1 coilovers on it, and we were going to do the Summit Racing tubular lower control arms, but it doesn't fit, and I think it's because at some point he may have had a bump, fender bender, something, because this doesn't fit at all. And then when you look at the coilovers, you can see that the driver's side coilover has been spun up about 2 inches more than the passenger side, and this car sits level. So there's an underlying problem there. So very easily, just don't install the lower control arms, it'll be just fine. We were going to replace the sway bar, but sometimes you have to ask yourself, is the modification worth the labor money? From the factory, they put 2 captured with a piece of metal sleeved nuts. So you have to grab it with a vice grip, and I can't get a vice grip in the hole of the frame. So the 4 or 5 hours that it would cost to do this, you just look at that sway bar, see how cool it is, look at the bushings, make sure they're good. They are. I'm going to put new end link bushings on there and call it a day. When you tighten the end links, you want to just compress the bushings, because these are urethane bushings, and in cold weather, it'll just break apart and fall out. You have a bunch of end link noise and the sway bars won't work. Okay, so when it comes to the rear, what we're going to be doing is replacing the leaf springs with a Summit Racing 2-inch drop leaf spring, and then we're going to do the sway bar upgrade. This does have a factory sway bar from the factory. The rear sway bar is going to be a huge upgrade when we install the Summit one. And then we should be good with the suspension. Hopefully, the rear end will go better than the front. So when you guys are doing your Camaros or Trans Ams, these are uniframe cars. You want to make sure to be careful, because to get to those rear forward facing leaf spring hardware, it actually sits in a pocket, and that pocket bolts up into the vehicle. I had to actually come down and move my legs over and grab the body. Once I did that, it's easy. You grab the leaf spring pocket bolts, pull them down. That way you can R&R the pocket from one spring to the next on the ground. Then we went ahead and installed the sway bar. Now this car came with an original factory sway bar, so I didn't have to drill any holes into the frame. I simply removed the OEM bracket, put in my Summit Racing bracket, and very easily installed it on the rear of this car. It's going to be a much better sway bar for this car. It's going to complement the new springs and actually plant the rear end much better. Sure, I've done the front suspension of an F-body 1,000 times, but this one threw us for a loop, didn't it? We must have had a fender bender at some point. Couldn't do the sway bar, couldn't do the lower control arms. We could, it just doesn't make sense to when it comes to the labor price. And then the rear end turned out really nice, this upgraded sway bar.
Yeah, the sway bar is really nice.
The lowering springs.
Yeah, and those leaf springs really weren't that bad. I'm just still scarred from the excursion.
But this one wasn't bad. The front was bad a little bit, but we powered through. So next week what we're gonna do is tackle the rear end.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Get ready for some old school muscle. We're taking this high mileage OBS Chevy truck and swapping out its tired V6 for a monster 454 big block with a 4L80E transmission. Sometimes bigger really is better.
All right, so believe it or not, these trucks, which is now termed OSB, which is old school body style, are very popular. Used to be, you know, you get it for $1,500, $2,000 used before COVID, and now very valuable. So this one has 409,000 miles on it.
Wow.
It is a 4.3 liter V6, and we're gonna do an engine swap. We went to Holley.com, we got some of the parts that we need to make this possible. We're gonna go ahead and put a 454 big block along with a 4L80 behind it, because why not?
Why not?
So many people are doing LS engines, I wanna do something a little different, and the big blocks are coming back around. Now, anytime you guys are working on a truck like this, you got 409,000 miles, take a look at everything. This thing was pretty original. It was not touched underneath, so the powertrain was original, which is incredible. So this is where you want to take a look and see what kind of a maintenance items are we going to do when we do this engine swap. I'm going to go ahead and take it outside, pressure wash the whole engine bay along with the cross members so that I have a nice new clean slate to work with. And don't forget, all your power wires for the alternator, all your ground wires, you're going to transfer all those things over. You want to make sure that the gauge for the wire from the alternator to the vehicle with the new setup is going to be sufficient. Us having a 7.4 liter, everything's going to be the same, so the same wire will work for the alternator. That's a good idea when you guys are doing something like this to clean as you go. It's going to make a huge mess, but something that comes in really handy is going to be pig mat. That's going to contain all the fluid. It's a lot easier to clean up than kitty litter. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's going to save you a lot more grief. Now the cooler lines for the transmission, I cut them at the transmission because the 4L80 is going to be different, but I'm going to keep the rest of the lines. I'm going to reconnect them to the new Frostbite radiator from Holley. I'm going to flare the other ends and then take my rubber hoses from the 4L80 straight to the hard lines. That way I don't have to go all the way through. The cross member appears to be the same for a 4L60 and a 4L80. They've got multiple holes in the frame rails so that you can just move the cross member back because the 4L80 is going to be a little bit longer. That's very nice. It's going to save me some time, but don't forget to change out the transmission mount. So the wire harness on this particular powertrain is totally incorporated with the body harness. So there is no unplugging the powertrain harness from the car and making it simple. So what I like to do is go into the fuse block and defuse the ECM. That way there's no power going to what runs the fuel injection. I went ahead and cut what was powering up the fuel injection and all of the sensors that has to do with the fuel injection, but I did not cut the sub harness that goes to the instrument cluster, because I'm going to take all the sending units off the old engine and put it onto the new engine so that the instrument cluster works just like OEM. Now the beauty about this particular swap is I can reuse the motor mount. From what I'm seeing, the motor mounts for all three engines are going to be the same, the 4.3, the 5.7, and the 7.4. Then what I want to do is go back and tape up where I cut and I'm not gonna have any issues because there's gonna be no power running to any of the wires that would have been powered up had the fuses been in. Man, do we have a mess behind us or what? At least we have a few engines to choose from, but that 4.4 BMW probably won't make it in here. So we got this thing completely gutted out. Next week what we're gonna do is get the engine bay prepped up, cleaned up, ready for the new engine to go in and the Holley Sniper EFI. If you guys are doing an engine swap in your truck or car, go check out Holley.com. This is an LS aluminum block that we had completely stroked, race-winning brands JE coated pistons forged, along with Manley connecting rods and a Summit Racing stroke crankshaft. I went with power bore cylinder sleeves because anytime you guys are boring this out to a 427 cubic inch, anything over 408, you gotta sleeve it. So I went with power bore sleeves, that way it gives me good reliability and longevity. Went ahead and got P1 manufacturing head studs along with main studs at the bottom. I've got GM race bearings in it. This thing is ready to go. Don Ewing from Ewing Auto Machine put the bottom end together for me. I went ahead and went with a Summit Racing camshaft, 600 lift, 236, 238 duration, and got a new timing cover, new timing set, front and rear. Make sure you plug all the holes. I went to Summit Racing, got me a nice oil pan. Everything is brand new. This thing is ready to run probably 650 to 700 horsepower, depending on what manifolds you use. You could, with a LS7 676 lift cam, make 740 crank horsepower. I've done it. So this is a very nice build. It's gonna be reliable. It's gonna last a long time because I went with all the best parts from the best companies.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. We're stuffing a 454 big block into this GMC truck, and those V6 mounts definitely won't work. Custom motor mounts and a beefed up 4L80E prove there's nothing like big torque in a classic pickup.
All right, so this is the time that we installed a 454 engine. If you guys remember, we did this last season, fully built this, ran it on the engine stand, so we know it's good to go. We've got a new flex plate on it. It's got the starter, it's got the manifolds. This is a high performance 454 with the rectangular port heads. I got my Holley valve covers on there, and this thing's ready to go. Now, from what I hear, the motor mounts on the 4.3, 5.0, 454, 7.4 are all the same. So I got brand new motor mounts to replace the broken ones that are OEM to the truck at 400,000 miles, believe it or not. And then I'm gonna transfer over the brackets from the 4.3 over to the 454, and we should, in theory, bolt right in.
Hopefully.
It's probably not gonna happen though. Before I installed the engine, if you remember, I went ahead and cut the fuel injection portion off the main trunk of the harness that controls my map sensors, my coil, the distributor itself, the fuel injectors that were in the middle right there. It controlled all that. I diffused the power going to those items, and then I cut those sub-harnesses off, putting tape around everything, making sure that the harness is sealed and nothing will corrode, you won't get any water inside. The only thing I did was I removed the starter wire from the trunk that goes to the transmission. I don't need anything in there. I just need the starter wire so I can still activate the solenoid on the starter without having to go to the ignition switch and look for a wire and put it outside. So no matter what you hear in public, don't believe it, because the V6 mounts so didn't work. Went ahead and ordered them, put them in place, but they were too far back by maybe 3 or 4 inches. Went ahead and got some custom motor mounts, put them in, had to modify them heavily. After that, you want to make sure that the engine that you're installing is good, everything's good with it. This case, we have a 454, we know it runs, but before I ever wanted to make it run, I want to make sure that there's no holes I forgot to plug up. I want to transfer all my sending units over from the old engine to the new engine. If you transfer all those sensors over from the 4.3 to the 7.4, the truck will never know what happened. So when you guys are doing your engine swaps, you want to make sure to pair the transmission up with the engine so it lives a long time. A 4L60 cannot handle anywhere close to the horsepower that the 4L80 can, no matter what you hear out there, okay? A lot of people say they can handle a lot of horsepower with the 4L60. It is not true. A 4L80 can handle a lot of horsepower straight out the box. And if you go to Sid Neal and have him do his modifications with it, it'll last a lot longer. So I opted, because this is a 7.4 big block that's gonna make a lot of torque, so I want that transmission to live for a long time. The beauty of that is that the factory crossmember for the 4L60 and the provisions on the frame rail allow you to move that crossmember back and forth. So what I had to do was just drill one hole for the driver's side back bolt. The other three lined up perfectly. Then once I had the crossmember installed, I went ahead and drilled the hole that I needed because the stud for the transmission was off from the 4L60. So grab your drill bit. Your drill bits cost money, they're expensive. If you take care of them with a little bit of lube, they'll last a long time. What I love about this paste type lube is that it doesn't fall down when you're working up. Put the little paste onto the drill bit, drill away, it doesn't splatter, it doesn't drip down, doesn't make your tool wet. All you gotta do is clean off the drill bit when you store it. But always remember to do the drills in steps. You'll save your tools. What do you think, Pepper? Nothing like a big block in an old Chevy truck, but this one's a GMC. All right, guys, if you want to do an engine swap too, whether it be a big block, old school, LS, Holley.com, they've got everything you need as far as the cooling system, fuel system, everything.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. It's time to show some love to this rare 2015 Camaro Z28. 427 cubic inches of dry sump fury is getting 315mm wide Falcon tires. From tire tech to smart oil changes, even impulse buys deserve first-class maintenance.
All right, so what we have in the shop today is a 2015 Camaro Z28, and it's absolutely beautiful. All four wheels are 19 by 12s. They actually tested this car with 325s, and what I have on the car that was released is 305. So I went to Tire Distributors of Georgia, got me a set of 315 Falcons. I've had this thing for roughly, 10 months now? Today, we're gonna do this oil change. Every time I get a used car, I like to change all the fluids so I know that it's mine and everything's good. It's been almost a year and I haven't done an oil change.
Sounds like you're really slacking off on this car, Sam.
All my cars, they all need oil changes. Shoe shiners' shoes don't shine. Let's face it, guys, we're getting older, so it's getting harder for us to lift big, heavy wheels. This one here with the Master 28 by Corgi lifts the wheel up for you, puts it on the cradle, makes it really nice. All right, so what I have here to replace the Michelins that came off is a set of Falcon Azini's RT660. This is a ZR rated tire, 100 tread wear. Now this is a very tough, short sidewall, and usually this would fight you, but with the Corgi Master 28, watch how easy it is. So once again, we're not getting any younger. I got a nice lift. Put the tire on it, raise it up, slide it right onto the yoke. It takes the wheel to the machine. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is remove the old weights, which is very important. This makes it very easy for you. Puts a nice little red laser right where you need to put the center of your weight. Now before I put the wheels on, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down the inside of the wheel, but I also wanna do a brake inspection. Look at the pad. If it needs to be replaced, go ahead and replace it. Unfortunately, in this case, they're all discontinued, so the pad looks really good, and hopefully it'll look good for a long time to come. Now don't forget, on an LS7 or any dry sump LS engine, there's gonna be 2 drain plugs on the oil pan. So what I did was remove the 1 drain plug in the middle of the pan and drained out 99% of the oil. Then I made a makeshift piece of cardboard to direct the oil into my pan for the second drain plug, and then make sure you do the oil filter itself. Okay, so the Z28 is an LS7 427 cubic inch engine, and it has a dry sump setup, so it takes 10 quarts of oil. Take a look at my belt. Oh, my belt needs to be replaced. Look at that. Not only is it original at 10 years old, but it's just starting to show a little sign of wear. So what I'm gonna do is replace the belts, but I'm gonna keep the belts because this is a rare collector item car, being that it's a Z28, one of 1129, you want to keep all the old parts if you replace them. That looks so much better. This thing, for some reason, had 305 35 19s on it from 2015. I went ahead and went with Falcon 315 30 19s, and that's gonna give me that little bit of sidewall, but that width to go with it. And the tread, it really sets off the car. It makes it look like a little race car,
They're
doesn't it?
beautiful tires.
Not only that, but I got these tires from Tire Distributors of Georgia.
It looks good. I know you love this car. Just ladies, be careful. If your husband wakes up in the middle of the night and starts talking to you and you send him away because you're sleeping, you might wake up in the morning to find out that he's bought himself a new gift.
But this wasn't just a gift, this was a rare one. I came across it. It was probably meant to be 3 a.m. in the man cave. I mean, right? All the signs were there. Sam, get the car. So here we are. It's an investment. We'll give it to one of the grandkids one day in the future.
That's a great car. Looks really good with those tires on it too.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. That's a wrap on another power-packed episode. We've upgraded the Bandit suspension, breathed big block life into classic trucks, and pampered a rare Z28. Come back next week for more horsepower, hard work, and honest garage talk.